stopped in the desert with a tray full of jams. My new orange boar pal is craving those snaps. With so much sand swirling, he crashed his candy car. Gosh, it seems like the hand of Jafar. Come on now, let's play some Lorcana. There's Flower Thumper, Bandy, lots of fauna. Let's build another blurple list as tasty as a Dole Twist. A smorgasbord of lore, it's Lorcana. Candy Puller 2K25.
Yo, what up?
It's Chanty Puller 2K25 in the building.
Yep,
Look
that's
at
me.
you go.
I know.
Did you pull a chanty this week, Chanty Puller 2K25?
Did I pull a chanty this week?
Did you?
I'm sorry. Could you rephrase that?
How many, if any, did you pull this week, Chanty Puller 2K25?
How many is right? Pulled 2 chanties this week, buddy.
2 in 1 week?
Oh!
How many packs did it take to get those 2 chanties?
2? Oh!
Wait, what?
Yeah, okay, so here's the story, dear listener. So you may remember, we were lamenting at the beginning of this set that we hadn't opened any enchanted cards. We have scaled back how many cards we bought for this set, right? Because, as you know, we are having a baby and we just bought a house, so there's a lot of expenses in our life. We bought a box and a trove.
We didn't really get many good cards in general. We got very few legendaries across all of our pack openings initially, so we were kind of like down on our pulls and we were just trying to round out our sets through trades and stuff.
Yes, exactly. So we haven't been buying that many packs. We're doing League. We just have not been buying packs just to buy packs.
Listen, when you're spending like $300 on shutters, and then you're spending like another $150 on paint, and then you're spending another $150 on the closet system thing that you need to install, and it just keeps adding up and up and up and up, it's hard to justify like another $140 on a booster box.
Yes. Yeah, it's a lot. So the other night at Diversions, they had a discount on a bunch of card stuff. So I went out and I thought, okay, I'm going to get a really special thing on sale right here at the store. And I got Brett a backpack that stores all of his cards.
It's something that I had been eyeing for a long time, but probably would never have bought myself. It's really cool. It has so many compartments that are specifically made to hold cards. It has a spot for your trade binder and for your playmat tube and for all of your deck boxes. And it has so many compartments for like lore trackers and notepads and everything. And it's amazing. And I love it so much. And it's all like encased in a hard shell. And so it keeps everything safe. And it has a rain poncho built in. And it's amazing.
And if anybody's going to utilize all those compartments and do it in a very efficient way, the way that the designers of the backpack intended, it's Brett. So he needed to have this backpack. Anyways, as a cherry on top, I thought I'll get a pack and just toss it in there for funsies. So Brett comes home. He's excited about the backpack. We open up the pack, and in that one pack was...
Perdita, Determined Mother, Enchanted.
The first enchanted that we opened from this set.
Way to pick it, Chanty Puller 2K25.
Bam, 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 bam. Can't stop, won't stop.
She has the skills, folks. Okay, story number 2.
Fast forward to yesterday.
It's Father's Day.
Oh my God.
Your parents live in a town that features awesome CCG. They sell Lorcana singles there at good prices.
We're buying a bunch of singles. We're getting some legendaries that we haven't gotten because, again, we're not opening that many packs.
I really want to play with Tinkerbell, so we complete our playset of Legendary Tinkerbell. We grab our playset of Goofy. We grab an extra Rapunzel. Just some cool legendaries to try out that we were excited about. And then it turns out it was like $22. And they're like, well, if you spend $3 more, then you get a coupon for $5 off. So before he had said the words, so if you just get a pack, we had already reached into the box and plucked a single pack of Reign of Jafar out.
You plucked this pack out.
I plucked it out and then I handed it to you. And we put it away because it was Father's Day. We put it in the car and we were like, we'll open this later.
Cut to later.
We're driving home. I'm driving the car.
I'm opening the pack.
And I'm getting a little sleepy after a long day of, I don't know, like cornhole and grilling and everything. And for the last 20 minutes of this long drive, I was like, Katie, open the pack. Like, let's get some excitement in the car here.
Oh, yeah. And in the back of the pack was...
Well, hold on. First of all, as you're going card by card, I just hear, And I'm like, oh, it must be did we get a legendary? Was it a legendary? What'd we get? And she's like, super rare Bruno Madrigal.
I wasn't sure. I saw that it didn't have a border, but as you may know, dear listener, there's some cards out there that are like meant to blend together that are foils that don't have borders. So sometimes you think that it's an enchanted and it's not.
But it turns out it was in fact an enchanted, and it was...
It means no worries.
That was your number one most wanted enchanted card.
Yes, I wanted it so badly. I'm so happy. It looks beautiful.
In fact, I think Perdita and It Means No Worries were like the two that you singled out as being the ones you thought were the best.
Yeah, they're gorgeous. I'm so happy about it. And we're going to get Fantastical and Magical for you next.
Thanks, Chantypolar2K25. Well, that was a long intro. My name's Brett.
My name's Katie.
Welcome to the Lorcana Cafe, folks, where we're talking about Disney, we're talking about snacks, and we're talking, most importantly, about Lorcana, the thing that binds us all together.
All the important stuff. We are in it deep, everybody. We've been searching through the meta for the perfect deck for a tournament that we have coming up this weekend.
We've got a case tournament coming up at Diversion Somersworth, our favorite friendly local gaming store. At the case tournament, Kendall Hale, the Lorcana artist, responsible for so many wonderful works, will be there to sign.
Kendall Hale!
If you are listening to this and you are within 4 hours of the New Hampshire seacoast, I recommend making it up here for that event. It's going to be such a great day. The community at Diversion Somersworth is unparalleled. It's truly a magical kind of place to play cards. The fact that there's going to be a wonderful tournament that day and the opportunity to get your stuff signed, oh, come on, you got to make it.
No, it's totally worth it. I cannot wait for that.
We have a foil Marshmallow that we could ask him to sign. We also have a foil Hans from the first chapter that I think would be really cool to have him sign. Maybe one of the 7 dwarfs, too, from Rise of the Floodborn.
That Hans is so good. All of his art's so good. It's just so cool to talk to a Lorcana artist, and to be able to talk to one at our local gaming store is, so cool.
Mm-hmm. Can't wait for that.
Now, we were talking about finding meta decks here. Brett, you are once again faced with analysis paralysis. You cannot decide which deck to play.
Yeah, I don't know if it's analysis paralysis or just that I have so much fun switching decks. And Tiago called me out on this last episode, that I can't stick with a deck. And anytime I play 2 games with a deck, I'm like, great, I'm done with that for a little while. I'll move on to the next one. That's why we have 12 decks and I play them all roughly equally.
I think that makes you a great player. I'm not trying to change who you are as a person, but I know that you would feel better if you just picked one deck and felt like you could stick with it and really pound it out.
Maybe over the course of recording this episode, we will figure it out. We started League this week, and I picked my deck really early on in that.
We love League.
One of the starter decks is comprised of the Fantastical and Magical Madrigals. I started with that deck, and I quickly fleshed it out with more Madrigals, and woo, is it a fun time. Ho, 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 ho. Is it a fun time?
You've long loved the Madrigals, and now I feel like the game has caught up to you, and it's a beautiful thing to see.
There aren't that many removal options, right? So all of these fun effects that are predicated on having a ton of Madrigals in play can actually fire. So we had a game against each other where I was able to sing Fantastical and Magical with Bruno and a bunch of other Madrigals with Alma on the board. Then I could ready all of those characters. Then I could do it again, basically, with Bruno and draw 1,000,000 cards. And then you can use Try Everything, which is included in the starter deck, even though it's not from this set. So you can ready Bruno and sing something else, right? So if you have 3 or 4 characters on the board and you start singing with Bruno, which is absolutely possible, your hand fills up really fast. When we finished our game, I had 28 cards in my hand.
Unreal.
28 cards in my hand. I actually had to stop drawing because I only had 1 card left in my deck. But it was really, really, really fun to just see the Madrigals go crazy and sing 1,000,000 songs. What are you playing, Katie?
I started with the other starter deck, the Ruby Steel starter deck, because I'm a big-time Ruby fan down to my core. And I am angling sort of towards a racer build. I think it could be a lot of fun. We have a little racer pet deck that we have built at home that I love playing. So I'm trying to scoop up any fun racer cards that I see in our league, as we do trades in league. That's a big part of it. So I was able to get a lot of great cards. I got some Wreck-It Ralphs. I got some King Candies. I got some Candy Drifts. Some Gloyd Orange Boars.
That's a really cool self-contained engine that this set gave us, right? Where you can use King Candy to keep looping these Gloyd Orange Boars, or you can use Ralph to keep looping your Gloyd Orange Boars. I think it's really cool. You can make a solid little deck out of some of the racer cards just from this set.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great time. I can't wait.
This week at League, they're using the Card.io platform, the Ravensburger Play Hub, for the first time.
Ugh.
We'll see how that goes.
We've had poor experiences with Cardio in the past, but we've also had poor experiences with Melee in the past, so who can say?
If you told me that Ravensburger wanted to produce a really streamlined, colorful, easy-to-use platform to find and run tournaments, I'd say, yeah, sure, that sounds amazing. It feels like they're really, really rushing it out the door, and that it has a lot of bugs to work through right now, so we'll see how it goes. I know that I, for one, wasn't able to use Smorkana in my username, which kind of makes sense. I guess it has too many letters of Lorcana, I guess. But I also wasn't able to use Brett in any capacity. Weird. Yeah. So you can't use a lot of common names, like if they're ever used in a Disney movie. I don't know where Brett's used in Disney, but, you can't use any common names.
We don't know what Goofy's first name is. His name is Brett.
Wild. A wild supposition.
God. Actually, we do know what Goofy's name is.
What is it?
His name's Dippy Dog.
Dippy Dog Goofy?
I don't know. His name was Dippy Dog, so maybe his first name's still Dippy Goofy? Or is he like Beyonce?
His name is Dippy Dog, but everybody calls him Goofy.
Yeah, I don't know. Is Goofy an adjective and not actually his name this whole time?
Are we going to sound like idiots? Is there like an easy answer to this that we can just look up?
I don't think so.
Hey, Google, what is Goofy's real name?
Goofy's full name has varied throughout his history, but he's most consistently known as Goofy Goof. He was originally introduced as Dippy Dog in 1932. In the 1950s, he appeared in cartoons as George G. Geef.
George G. Geef.
George G. Geef. Well, there you have it. I'm sure Google is totally right. It's never wrong. And on that note, let's George G. Geef our way on into the restaurant.
Let's do it.
Man, that guy's delivering a whole truckload of tinned fish over there.
Yeah, that's like too much tinned fish.
That's the most tinned fish I've ever seen. Wait a second. That guy looks familiar.
What?
Is that Jeremy Bertarioni?
Oh my God.
It totally is. I knew he was a man of many talents, but I didn't know he was also like a tinned fish delivery guy.
Tinned fish connoisseur, it looks like. My God.
Yeah, that's like some high-end stuff. Should we go talk to him?
I don't know. I'm a little concerned about all the fish, but if you think it's safe, I guess we'll do it.
Well, it's tinned. It's not going to go bad.
Okay, that's true. That's true.
All right, let's go. Hey, Jeremy.
Special delivery. I got some tin fish for everybody.
Yeah, they're never going to run out by the looks of it.
Thank God.
It's not your mom's tin fish anymore. They're really big these days. The brand Fishwife just did a collab with Bon Iver. So I guess I got some of those in the truck. And then, the rest is all just from Portugal, Portuguese market. That's what I've been eating lately. And the reason that I have so much to give to you guys is because it's the perfect tournament snack. We've actually just figured this out. It's high in protein, but low in calories. So it's not like eating a hamburger where you're going to feel sluggish. Fish is famously brain food, so it helps keep you sharp. And then a story that I have from a recent tournament. One of my friends lost his second round, so it was X2, and he was outside, he was smoking, and I gave him some tinned fish, he ate it, and his opponent came out and was like, hey, I've got to drive home, it's like 6 hours, so I'm just going to drop and give you the win. So he literally got a win for eating tinned fish. But
incredible.
Anyway, let's tell everybody who I am. Sorry, I got ahead of everything.
Yeah, so if you couldn't tell, Jeremy is an avid tournament goer. He has a podcast that he co-hosts with his best buddy Zan Syed called the Club Lorcana podcast. Absolutely one of the must-listen podcasts or must-watch podcasts. Absolutely incredible content that you can see there. Jeremy is an accomplished player himself. Most recently, took down a huge tournament down at Southside Gaming, the 5K down there. He hosts a space on Twitter/X on Monday mornings, which is an amazing time. I've tuned in a few times and it's been really, really insightful. And besides all of that, he's a performing artist. He works in stand-up comedy and improv. And so we were super, super excited that he showed up in this Lorcana Cafe today for a bit of a chat.
Woohoo!
So happy to be here. And yep, that's all. It's all very true. You know, it's all coming from a place of just wanting to put good stuff out. Like the space, I think especially I was thinking that there needed to be a way for like the community at large to be able to hear sort of like more unfiltered or like raw opinions from like some of the top players. So the thing I really like about my space is like R&B will hop in and he'll say what happened to his turn. And then DKP will come in and be like, oh my gosh, the flight back to Germany was so awful. So yeah, I mean, I'm so happy to be here. I'm so excited. And it's true. I do all those things. Where do you guys want to start?
Well, I want to talk about your space while we're on the subject. One of the best times I had in there, I don't know if maybe best time isn't the right word, but the most insightful times I've had in there was right after there was a cheating scandal and somebody drew 8 cards after playing A Whole New World and the community caught it, and you had a really frank discussion in that space. And I think it was really open, it was really fair, but you didn't pillow anything either. And so I thought it was a really great place to kind of air concerns that the community has in a really kind way, but a just way as well.
Yeah, so that weekend, a player drew 8 cards, according to him on accident, but, you know, it's just like a fact that we don't know what the answer to that is, against Zan Syed, and Zan Syed tweeted about it. And then what was interesting is that player appeared in my space, right? That's like sort of the part that I really want to point out. And he came out to be like, I want to get my side out there. And I was like, okay, I mean, and everyone was really respectful. I like told myself ahead of time, I was like, if anyone calls this guy any names or whatever, I'm just going to like get rid of him from the space. It's like, I'm going to do, but everyone was totally like, how do you want to like take accountability for this? What's your explanation for what happened? Like, how do you want to move forward with Lorcana? So it was nice to moderate, but I've always kind of wanted to be like a morning radio, like DJ for a little bit. And the space kind of just gives me the opportunity to do that. To that end, yeah, I think that it'd be insane if I wanted to be a morning radio DJ, but then like the news of the day came on and I didn't want to talk about it. That's like not what we're doing. You know what I mean? Like if there's something that everyone in the community is talking about, one of the things that I think it's really easy for a Lorcana content creator to get into is toxic positivity, because it is a Disney IP. So you kind of are like really pressured to be like, wow, you know what I mean? Like about everything. And it's like, I don't know, like Ravensburger's gone a couple months and the only thing we've seen are new cards and we don't know when, like, for example, Worlds is going to be. And everyone's like, it is so amazing to be a part of this community. I'm like, we have like legitimate things we want to talk about. And I feel like definitely my place as a content creator is going to be, you know, I don't need the sponsorship. I'm just making stuff because I really think it's fun.
But you're also not, you know, I wouldn't say you're like a shock jock. It never ever feels like you're trying to say something controversial for the sake of listens or for the sake of controversy itself. It's always about the interest of the community as a whole. And so it comes from a place of fairness is what comes across to me.
I think a shock jock in a way is sort of a prisoner of their own profession. And what I just said still holds true. I'm doing this content because it's fun for me every time. I'm talking about what I want to talk about. If it happens to be especially fair, that's good. Like, that's just the kind of guy that I want. And, you know, I've been a trading card game player for a really long time, right? I'm 31, so I've been playing since I was 15 card games. And for like all of that time, it was really seriously. A lot of people, Lorcana's their first one, so they're like having a lot of like year one problems. And I'm like, well, let's talk about it, because nobody did when it was my year one. You know what I mean? I'm not beholden to anybody. And I think that neither is my friend Zan. And that's part of why we both like our content and we're doing what we want to do. And like, you know, another one that we had Jonathan Williams on, and this was after he was disqualified from nationals. So that's like, well, hold on, like disqualified from nationals, there's like a stigma to it. But except for we were there, we happen to know that what happened to this guy was like a little bit unfair, and maybe it was like a course of like logistics. We can go into like why it happened, but we wanted to clear that guy's name up because we wanted to. So I think it's good to have creators that just aren't chasing the sponsorship, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. And just for our listeners who might not be super familiar, the Jonathan Williams incident was that he lost a Maui shark, right?
Yep.
And so when they did a deck check, he was just down a card. And I don't know why you would ever want to lose a Maui shark.
Yeah, right.
Well, the crazy thing about it is he submitted 62 cards. So he failed the deck check down to 61. So he didn't even lose the Maui shark to go down to 59. If you were steel manning, okay, if he's a cheater, why would he do this? It'd be well, the ratio's better if he has 59 cards in his deck. Actually, no. He has 61 cards in his deck. So if he wanted to cut a Maui shark, he could have just raw cut it.
Right. It's great that you were able to put his perspective out there.
Yeah.
So, something else that you do really well on your podcast, I think you in particular serve as this distiller of information, that you have all of this data, all of this experience playing with top level players, and you're able to take all of that information and distill it and then present it in a really digestible way. So given all that, how are you feeling about the meta right now?
Okay, I mean, we can talk a little bit about the meta. So here's what I will say is right now I'm at Zansiad's house, and we have taken these next 2 weeks off from work, and we're dedicated extensively to testing about Worlds, because he's qualified for the World Championship.
Heck yeah.
We're not humble people necessarily, so we both believe that if we work hard and Zan works hard and he does what he needs to do to succeed at Worlds, that he will succeed at Worlds because we think that he's so good. I mean, that's just how we feel. And so what I don't want to do is talk about a lot of moving forward, because a lot of that's under the tarp right now, but we can talk about where we are.
Sure.
We just had a huge data surge from a week. And by the way, we have to give so much credit to the Lorcana community, because you're saying I can interpret the data, but it's one of the first times we've ever had a card game where the data was so quickly available, so easily distilled. You can sort by so many things on inkdex.com or whatever. So I'm just lucky I even get to look at the data, because remember when I started Magic the Gathering 15 years ago, you were mostly the best person at our store plays blue-white control, so that's probably the best deck. You know what I mean? Now we can look at it and be well, actually, Amber Steel lost a 9% meta share over the last weekend. It's oh wow, real data. Right now, it's a pretty good field, especially for the more casual player. I don't think there's necessarily any strategies that you can't do well with. So, for example, I played in the Charlie's CCS Sunday 2K, and I went 5-1-1, right? Pretty good record, but I got 10th place. I drew out of top 8. That was my fault. There were 2 copies of blue-green in the top 8 that were totally different. They were 45 cards different from each other. We had a blue-green items deck and a blue-green sort of I want to say bounce, bend to my will sort of control deck that had took advantage of the Muses and the new Basil that bounced something and Clarabelle. And so there's green-blue. I think we'll just call that green-blue Clarabelle. And then green-blue items. There was also a red-yellow deck that did really well. So right now it's sort of a field where you can succeed with whatever you want to do. Obviously, great choices right now are purple, green. Blurple's a good choice. But honestly, if there's anything that you've wanted to do in Lorcana, now's the time. Amber Steel's sort of like the fun police, so your deck has to have pretty good game against Amber Steel. The good news is that's not necessarily hard to do, because they're either a pretty traditional aggro deck or a whole new world aggro deck, and that's you kind of know if you have a good matchup against them or you can play against them or not, right? And so, I think that's where we're at. If I had to name top decks, it would be Amber Steel, Purple Green as the top 2, and then maybe some sort of other steel aggressive deck, but it's really wide open. And did you see what won? The Yen Sid aggressive deck, right? So people are out here winning with brooms.
Yeah.
Always great to see Yen Sid making a return. I notoriously have trouble picking a deck.
It's a real problem.
I seldom play a deck for more than 5 games at a time. I don't know. What I really like about card games is bouncing all around. We have a case tournament coming up at our local game store this weekend. I have not picked a deck, and so, as a favor to me, will you tell me what deck I should play? And I'm going to play the deck, whatever deck you say right now, I'm going to play.
You should play Blurple because you have no good matchups.
Great, perfect. I'm playing Blurple.
Honestly, you've been leaning towards Blurple, and the thing that's been stopping you is the matchups. So I think just ripping the Band-Aid off and doing it, you hate losing to aggro.
I hate losing to aggro.
Which is fair, but
that's okay.
Blurple is not even that bad against aggro. I played Blurple Sunday at the 2K. And during the main event, at one point in the main event, I was 4-0. And then, like I said, I ended the Sunday event at 5-1-1, and it was with Blurple. I think I was in the same place as you, where I was like, I love this deck. I feel like it's so powerful, and 4 Finders Keepers is totally my speed, but I just like don't have any good matchups, and I'm like kind of hoping to dodge everybody. I feel like if my opponent's playing Yellow Steel, that's not good for me. If they're playing Green Purple, that's probably also not good for me. If my opponent's on any blue deck, I think I have a really rough time. And then I was like, wait a minute, I have no good matchups. At all.
Yeah.
And then I played the deck and I was just like winning all the time. So I was like, I guess, and a big part of the reason I wanted to play Blurple is, like I said, I'm trying to keep a lot of the tech under the hood for Worlds. And Blurple is uniquely like impossible to play at the Worlds format, which is triple deck. And just for the viewers who might not know, triple deck, you present 3 decks and they can't overlap in colors. So like if you have a blue purple deck, you can't have blue or purple in any of the other decks. So the only combination that like makes sense at all with blue purple is blue purple, green steel, yellow red, which 2 of those are basically not decks. You know what I mean? Compared to something like amber steel, green purple, blue red, where all 3 of those are really great options. So like Blurple, you like uniquely can't play. So I was like, well, I can't blow the tech out from under the hood of Blurple. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So that's like why I chose to play it. No, but you have no good matchups, and that's like kind of freeing in its own way. You really get to just like, yeah, I'll bounce my Tipo with the Fox, ink it. That feels pretty good. And then, hit your Daisy Duck. And you're kind of like all these nice little clean interactions. And then like when the board is kind of at parity, and then you Finders Keepers, and then suddenly you're Hadesing them, and you're just kind of winning just this sort of ABC Lorcana game where nothing crazy is going on. But like I was winning the majority of my matches, and then yeah, so I think that that's a good option right now, especially if you like to just sort of get your elbows in there and just play cards against somebody.
Yeah, it sounds great.
And you can play all kinds of fun tech cards in Blurple. I was playing an Ice Spikes this past weekend.
Ooh,
Fun.
How was that?
I mean, it was actually really good. I had a match against the red-yellow deck that was at the top tables of the 2K. We were like table 4, and it was like Blurple versus red-yellow. And they were playing Amber Chromacon, which exerts to heal 1 from everything. And I don't know if people know what Ice Spikes does, but it's a 2 ink item that you play, you can exert something, and then from then on, you can pay 1 and exert it to keep an item exerted. So he also had this like 06 Rapunzel that said whenever one of his damage came off, he draws a card. And that thing would have drawn like 3 cards a turn for the rest of the game, except for his Amber Chromacon kept being tapped. And he was just like, how is this happening? And then one turn I sacrificed it to play a bell, and then played Tamatoa to get it back, and then played it again, and then like exerted one of their guys, and then hit him, and he was literally just like, I feel like I'm getting DJ Hero 2'd right now. I'm getting like tripped on, totally.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, so you can have a lot of fun, playing Blurple. That's sort of why I did it. I think if you're a tight technical player that likes to get sort of like, I guess, a skill edge or whatever over opponents, then Blurple's a great choice.
All right, there you have it. I'm playing Blurple.
Do it. I'm so glad. I couldn't be more relieved. This is great.
So, Jeremy, one of my favorite things watching your podcast is when you make a joke, which you do very often. If you're super entertaining. So you'll make your joke and Zan doesn't react at all. Like no reaction, completely moves past it, goes right into the next part of the conversation. It's a great dynamic. I love it so much. So like, what's it like recording with your best buddy? Like, how's that been for you?
Yeah, for people to understand what's going on there. So I have been really close friends with Zan for the past like 7 years. And like for maybe 3 or 4 of those years, we lived together. We were on the same Magic the Gathering team. So we've tested together. We've had big fights, we've gotten over those big fights. So now it's at the point where, we're both in our 30s and we're like, we know it's almost like an old married couple. Like, no, I know who he is how Zan feels about me. So he's going to make those jokes. And they, for whatever reason, they don't ever get Zan. Sometimes we'll like be on a road trip together and Zan will be like, it was like maybe like 15 minutes later, he's like, that was really funny. I'm like, oh yeah, was that really funny? That's great that you feel that way. But I mean, we just have just a great bond. I mean, we've had a great time playing cards. Yeah, funnily enough, he didn't even want to get into Lorcana. He was like, Jeremy, I'm like kind of done with card games. I was like, Lorcana's gonna be Disney. It's like I got him with prize support. I was like, Ravensburger and Disney are gonna make this game so worth it for you to play. You'll just go in, you'll be the best player. come on, it'll be fun. And he was like, all right, I'm going to quit when I like lose my first tournament. So like we went to a 1K and he had no like reps on Lorcana or whatever. He like won it. And then he like won the next one. It's just like, yes, Santa.
Got him.
Yeah, I'll never forget when he won CCS with the flute song list kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That was the first time I had heard of Zan because we are not Magic players.
No, right.
In our past.
He's great. He and I are really different. Playing against us feels really different. And but yeah, I'm like I've always been, since I was young, I've been like a comedy guy. I don't really know how else to describe it. I like started doing stand-up when I was 20. The reason I didn't start sooner is because like I always thought it was really cringe when like a high schooler did stand-up. So my hometown is Wilmington, North Carolina. I would go to the open mic every week on Wednesday, and then I would go to the improv show every week on Thursday, and I would watch whatever was happening at that club, starting from when I was like 15. You know what I mean? Like the bouncer or whatever put like huge X's on my hands to make sure. And I was always, I never like, I was like, okay, but I just always loved it. And it's just always been something I like felt like I needed to do. So like, yeah, I'll make the jokes or whatever. I just got done working at the Renfest. And what I do there is I'm an insult comic. So I'm up in like a stockade.
Right.
People throw tomatoes at me they pay for the tomatoes. And in order to like entice them to do that, I make fun of them. The secret there is that the insults are never really like that hurtful, which is why everyone laughs. I draw a pretty big crowd. So for example, like we have like a line where we let ladies throw from and a line where we let guys throw from. But sometimes the ladies are at the Renfest and maybe they've been drinking or whatever. And they're like, so a girl was like, I can throw it from right here, talking about the guy's line. And I looked at her and I was like, you couldn't even throw your ex-boyfriend's comic books out of your apartment. You know what I mean? And the crowd like dies. And that's certainly an insult, like categorically, right? Like nobody's going to say like she didn't get her money's worth out of that insult.
Right.
But like, what did I really say that was mean about her? It's like nothing,
right.
you know? I told one guy, I was like, you look like you got cauliflower ear and it spread to the rest of your face. And he was like a bald, like tap out guy. He loved that joke, right? Because what am I really saying? You look strong. You look like a fighter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
So like that was what I've just been doing that for 3 months, basically, and not at any Lorcana tournaments. But yeah, I'm always, making jokes. Maybe I'm even good at it sometimes. That's like if I'm extremely lucky, I guess, is how I feel.
How do you find that blends into your Lorcana gameplay? I think that a lot of the game, right, when you're matched up against somebody, sometimes they are giving you nothing. They're really stoic. They just want to play the game. They just want to focus. Some people are really talkative. I know that Brett and I are both fairly talkative when we play, just as the theater people that we are. Do you use any of that? Do you use any of your insults as trash talk or anything?
Trash talk, there's like an element at a card game tournament where everyone's being really respectful all the time. And trash talk hasn't really worked its way in the same way it has at like fighting game tournaments or like certain like other types of events. But when I was at Magic Pro in 2019, I was really cognizant of my talk game. And like I was like comfortable winning games that way. So there were some players that like I knew were just like probably better than me, right? I can think of a match that I had specifically against, there was an SCG player. His name is Dom Harvey. I think he still makes content. You guys don't know him, but let me explain. He is like a genius type guy. He's the type of guy where he'll sit there and like think, and then he'll make a play that you like never even heard, nobody's ever made before. And you're like, oh my God. When I talked about like sacrificing the ice spikes to Bell, getting it back with Tamato and playing again to hit something, that's like a Dom Harvey play. And he'll like think through those lines all the time. And he maybe wasn't necessarily the most comfortable talking. And so against him, my mouth was just going nonstop. And there was one part of a game that we played at the Players' Championship where he attacked. The attack had a trigger that was supposed to hit one of my blockers and get it out of the way. And he missed it. And then at like the end of that turn, he was like, I'm such an idiot. And I'm like, no. You're actually a genius. You're just not that good at also talking about what you've had for breakfast this morning and driving to the place and like everything that I'm doing at the same time as playing. But in Lorcana, I'm a little older now and I see myself as more of like, since there are so many new people too, and there's so many like, kids or young ladies who ordinarily don't play card games, I for some reason feel a much like higher sense of responsibility to kind of be like, all right, it's like your turn. You know what I mean? Like you can play. How do you want to do this or whatever? So I'll say in 2019, when I was a pro card game player, super cognizant of the talk game, and I was like using it on purpose to get an advantage. And I think that that's like an underappreciated aspect of trading card games. I think that's really fun. Nowadays, if you play me, if you start it, I'll win. Is how I feel about the talk game.
Yeah.
And a big moment of that is I just won. You introduced me. I won the SSG, but so I walk into the finals room, and it's Jonathan Williams in there. Great player. And he looks at me. He's like, "Dang, I thought it was going to be Zan." And like immediately, I like fire up, and I literally said out loud in that moment, I was like, "You're gonna wish it was Zan."
Yeah.
And this is what I said. And we sat there, and I talked, and we went back and forth. And he even to this day is still like, Jeremy stole one of those games from me because there was a moment where he could have be prepared or just Sisu'd away my Tamatoa. Instead of be prepared, and he like put lethal on the board, and I killed him on the crackback. He was like, I had no idea you were going to win on that turn. And there's a part of it that's like, yeah, dude, because we were talking and you started it. Right. So it's like a fun part of card games. If you can have fun with it, I'm obviously a huge advocate for like never being mean or making anyone feel disrespected.
Sure.
It used to be that if a guy was really uptight and didn't want to talk very much, I like relished the opportunity to get him out of his comfort zone, which I definitely think is fine in some situations, but I like don't really do that anymore.
Yeah, that's probably the best. Probably the best for your social game.
To abruptly change the subject, because we need to make sure we discuss food a little bit more, being a snack/Lorcana crossover podcast. You and Zan have had some really insightful discussions about what to eat during a tournament. And it's been really cool to actually see you seriously discuss this. Like we talk about it kind of tongue in cheek as a joke often, but you really have delved into how to prepare your body for a long, grueling day of sitting in a chair and thinking really hard. So I know that one thing you mentioned was there's a very particular kind of like snack bar that you recommend.
So those are the, I got a story that comes with them, but those are the Belvita blueberry cookies.
Okay.
That they sell. And those are basically a good mix of like a quick sugar, but not too many calories. And we actually had a story from this weekend where it was it was the guy I was sitting next to in the players meeting. And he was like, hey, I want to say I'm a big fan of the podcast, big fan of Zan Syed, and I'm from California. And I was like, cool. And he was like, and our local game store started carrying blueberry Belvita cookies as like a concession. And they sell out all the time when there's a Lorcana tournament. And I was like, nice. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, so it's interesting because we play a card game, right? So that is not the most physically taxing thing, right? We're not running marathons. We're not doing like boxing ring. We're not doing a fencing tournament. And yet, if you interview like newer players, they're all going to be like, after 4 rounds, they're going to be like, man, I'm like tired. And I don't know exactly what it is scientifically, but what I do know, having done this for so many years, is like, yeah, it's hard. If you're playing a 7-round or 9-round tournament and you don't take care of the body that's playing that tournament, you are going to become exhausted. And the time where you have to like play an Elsa and then crab and then bounce the crab to make an Elsa a 7 to kill it's going to be a lot less obvious that that's what your play needs to be. And you're going to be more focused on your hungry. And then Zan is sort of like a strategic genius that likes to optimize everything. So if I say, I think this is a good snack for a tournament, Zan is like, what do you mean by that? Why? And so when you say we're having this conversation really seriously, when you have it kind of tongue in cheek, like that's just like kind of the person that Zan is. If you come up to him and you're like, I think I have the best snack, he's going to be like, what makes you think that? And then he'll be like, well, what about like beef jerky? You know what I mean? And you like actually have this back and forth. And I've been playing long enough to know that like if you eat a hamburger in the middle of your day, you're going to be asleep in the next round. And maybe you win that round, but maybe you don't, and maybe it was the food's fault. But if you want your body to like feel good, like nothing's better than like a smoothie and a hard-boiled egg on the way to a tournament, a Belvita cookie in the middle of it, because they don't give you a lunch break. If they gave you a lunch break, it might be a different situation. But yeah, so, we take it seriously, but only because we're just so passionate about doing well in tournaments. And we have been as long as we've known each other. And Zan's got a great sense of humor, but it's not the most obvious sense of humor. And so he's the kind of guy that'll take whatever you say seriously and be like, all right, why is it the best snack? To that end, I've been getting really into tinned fish because theoretically, tinned fish is the actually most perfect snack. Belvita's good for that quick bump, but tinned fish has a lot of protein. People have called it brain food before. and it's not a lot of calories. So if you can get over the factor of like, wait a minute, tinned fish, like an old sailor with one eye who eats sardines out of a tin and his breath smells terrible for the rest of the day. If you can mitigate it, which these days the brands that make tinned fish are like really nice. Like I got a bunch of smoked mussels from Patagonia, like the clothing provision company. So like,
Nice.
okay, those tasted amazing, and like they didn't taste too fishy at all. Yeah, we try to consider it. We like think about it. So the Belvita blueberry cookies are great. We know those are good, and game stores have apparently started stocking them, and I think that's a great idea.
Love that. So now you're prepping for Worlds right now. Are you going down to Florida with Zan, or are you just here for the 2-week kind of boot camp?
I am going down to Florida with Zan. He booked the hotel room that right next to the one that Disney booked for him, and it's going to be me and Aaron Rubin, who's another person that tests with Zan all the time, and we're going to be in that hotel room, sort of doing like guy in the chair style stuff. And Zan and I have done that together for a really long time in card games, but if you're unfamiliar, basically I'm going to be like researching matchups, figuring out who his next round is going to be if he wins or loses, and like having that deck on hand and testing it against whatever Zan's going to be playing, so that like he can ideally like call us or text us between rounds and we can like tell him what's going on. Yeah, we're just going to be supporting him. We're going to go to Florida. We're going to support him as much as we can. And we've been working pretty hard on this. I will say I'm really looking forward to the day after Worlds, win or lose, because then we're going to Disney. I'm going to Epcot, and we're going to do some snacking, all right, around the world.
Love that. That's genius. I mean, if we were going to Worlds, that's what half of our trip would be for sure. For sure.
Any snacks in particular you're looking forward to?
Disney has a lot of really good ones, and they change a lot. A lot of the times at Epcot, they have an exhibit on sort of new techniques in gastronomy, the sort of like high science cooking. And when I was a kid there, I had it was a liquid nitrogen truffle. So it was like a little truffle that I ate, and it was like shattering in my mouth and it was frozen. And I've always sort of been chasing that experience. So I'm going to be looking for something like that.
Perfect place to kind of unwind after this 2-week like marathon testing session. You just get to go to Disney, have a good time, have some snacks, drink around the world or whatever. Yep,
we're definitely lucky that Zan has infinite love of the game, because I don't like Lorcana right now. I just feel like I have to play all the time. I'm sure you guys can see it. For the viewer or for the listeners, behind me is just like the remnants of building millions of decks and testing them against each other really fast. It's just
deck carcasses,
cards everywhere, backpacks all over the place, and Prince John has Ward. Who even cares anymore? I'm just like,
yeah, right.
I'm just so in it right now.
I'm gonna detox for a little while.
Awesome. Well, we've covered just about every topic we wanted to cover, but we do have to play a game that we really like to play with our guests on the podcast. We call it Ink Play Banish. It's akin to a game that you might know by Kiss, Marry, Kill.
Yep.
Or Kiss, Marry, Unalive, as Katie said last time. Trying to keep it Disney-ified with Ink Play Banish. So ink is something that you would want to use some of the time. Play is something that you're always going to be happy to see. And banish something you want to get rid of.
Ink Play Banish, what are my 3?
The first category here are decent new duck cards from the new set. So we have Donald Duck Coin Collector, Ludwig von Drake All-Around Expert, and Huey Reliable Leader.
Oh, okay. So we're gonna play Ludwig von Drake. That card is just so good that it's almost totally revitalized like blue-yellow as a strategy. We're playing that card. That card is great. And it does a lot of stuff that I really like to do, which is get into my opponent's hand and choose a card for them to discard. When you look at an opponent's hand, you get to make a plan. Okay, next turn they're going to do this. The turn after they're probably going to do this. And that is so great strategically. So I love Ludwig von Drake. I think it's well designed. Play. Ink is going to be the Donald Duck Coin Collector. And that's because combos are cool. And I think that the combo that it enables in Lorcana is extremely cool. And gives combo players sort of a high to chase, they're, oh man, I could draw my whole deck or whatever. And so I like that. But on its own, without the combo, the card is kind of lackluster, which is why it's an ink. And then Banish is going to be Huey, because that's draft chaff. That's uninkable. It's a 2/3. It's like good sometimes, not all the time, but that combos with it being an uninkable card, which is so disappointing to me, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I want my cards that are good sometimes to be inkable and not uninkable. There you go. I think that's the first one. That was my easy one. Okay. I thought that you were going to be like, all right, ink, banish, play, Quentin Tarantino, Brad Pitt, and I was going to be like, oh, geez, let me try to figure this out.
Well, we're going to get a little bit more challenging now.
Let's do
Our
it.
next category here are foods that can be thrown. As we know, you have tomatoes thrown at you often.
Yeah.
Your 3 options here are tomatoes, eggs, and pies.
Play pies. I think pies as a thrown object have a lot of comedic viability. And then also pies are like pretty delicious. And with a pie, you know, in terms of which one I'd rather eat, it's pie. And then in terms of which one that I would rather have thrown at me, it's also pie, because that can just be like a bunch of whipped cream in a tin. And people are still like, yeah, nobody's ever like, that wasn't a real pie. They'll still call it a pie.
Right.
So pies play. I think that one's pretty easy. We're definitely going to banish tomatoes. I have like a lot of, PTSD. I don't want to trivialize, but like sometimes when I close my eyes, I can see a tomato coming at my face. You know?
God.
Some of those people throwing are like baseball players, and when a tomato curveballs and like goes in your face at an angle, you don't forget that. So I'm done with that.
Ooh.
We'll try that again next year. So we're banishing that one. And so we're inking eggs. Eggs are an extremely versatile food. It was really hard not to play them. But as a thrown object, I would rather have a pie thrown at me than an egg, which is why we're inking eggs. Although I'm pretty sure the 3 of us could sing the praises of eggs all day. Lots of good stuff to say about eggs.
That's our other podcast. We'll save that for the other one
the
for
Egg
sure.
Kana podcast.
Egg Kana.
I had only thought of the comedic potential of having everybody like throw these tomatoes at you. Wasn't really considering that it could be like Chris Sale, just like winding up and hucking a tomato at 95 miles an hour.
Could be.
There's like a couple different archetypes of people. There's like a veteran who like kind of wants to get involved in like the, no, I'm going to hurt this guy part of it. There's like high school baseball players that are like with their girlfriends right there that are trying to like prove that they can pitch a 90-mile-an-hour tomato or whatever. So there's a couple people that aren't in it for the insults and the laugh. There's a couple people that are in it to see, my glasses fly off my face and for me to get a big black eye like you can get sometimes. It's the Renfest. I tell people all the time, like, no, that's the Renfest. It's not Disney World. Like, it is like, if the guy wants it to be violent, then they're going to have a violent experience throwing a tomato at somebody. Which I kind of like, because I'm sure you guys have picked up on this. I'm kind of a guy that like sort of likes when things are like on edge or frenetic or whatever, and like tapping into a real human experience that isn't like apologizing for itself. So like, the guy gets all excited and wants to hurt me, and he pays, and I make fun of him, and the crowd laughs at him, because if they're trying hard, it's really easy to make fun of them and have the crowd laugh at him, because it's like, oh, here's this guy, and like if somebody like that throws it at you, and you're like, I just got one question for you: who's a little guy? Who's a little guy? They'll get so like they get for real mad, and then
yeah.
But like, what's happening is we're having like a combative human experience together. Me and this guy throwing. We're from 2 different worlds, obviously, but like there's a real authentic interaction happening that doesn't always happen. And that, to me, is so important. It's part of why I play trading card games, like people that are new to this, they're probably realizing that like there's moments where like if they just draw an inkable card, they're going to win this game. And they are like at the top of their deck, and they're like, come on. And what we fail to realize is whether you draw that card or not, we live in a world that's like designed to really like numb us, like get us in. I don't want to talk about it too much, but like get us into our phones or like whatever it is to like not feel anything. But in the trading card game space, like you're going to feel things. You're going to feel things like,
yes,
like hard, you're going to have real feelings out there. And that's part of what is so exciting about trading card games to me is that moment of, I've been playing them for 15 years. And there were times in the last tournament where I was like, come on, baby, like trying to draw the card that I needed. Like Monstro, and I win this game. And also, Monstro is especially funny because I've been finders keepersing and getting behind on board over and over again. And I have 6 cards in my hand, but they're at 16 or whatever. And I'm like definitely dead unless I just draw like a whale that can let me turn the card advantage into getting your guys out of here. So like, you feel things with trading card games. That's so good. But I'm off topic because what is our next round of Ink Banish Play?
All right, here we go. We've got classic comedians. We've got Jerry Seinfeld, Richard Pryor, and George Carlin.
Oh, wow. Okay. So what's interesting is I have a huge history with Seinfeld. because I used to do, as part of an improv bit, I could improvise Seinfeld, where I would start making up like a joke that he would do, similar to like
I've heard you do a little one before.
yeah, you can do them like, why do we get on the bus but we're really in the bus, type stuff. And I used to be able to really access that and like rattle it off. And so like I've always really appreciated Seinfeld, but he sort of didn't contribute to like, I want to say like the intellectual artistic canon the way that like Richard Pryor and George Carlin did. So what I want to do is I want to ink Seinfeld. I think I'm going to lock that one in because for his time, he was really good, but now I think he's a little bit of a clown. And then I think personal wise, he kind of just like got a bunch of money and was content to be like a smarmy rich guy, where like I always like a rich person that's like a little more of an activist or whatever. I just like, and I feel like Richard Pryor really did that. He like famously gave a lot back. So I'm going to play Richard Pryor. And I think Richard Pryor is just like a total genius. And then, I'm banishing Carlin, but I love Carlin. But, people use Carlin for, like, the wrong reasons a lot of the time. They'll think that because he's sort of like Fight Club, where it's like they like the part of it that is, like, he's, like, anti-cancel culture. But, like, it's like, no, that isn't really what Carlin was about. That's just, like, what you're getting from it. And I feel like that aspect of his act is what's dragging him down to banish, but that one is like close, and I don't feel good about saying banish Carlin. I think all three of those have contributed so much to the zeitgeist and stuff like that.
Well, I'm glad we stumped you a little bit, or made it a little bit difficult for you. You got one more?
One more. Okay.
All right.
Your last category here. Power decks in the current meta. Emerald Steel, Ruby Sapphire items, Aggro Steel Song.
We're playing Emerald Steel. One of my big metrics for Lorcana is, and I talked about this a little bit with Blurple, is I want to be able to play against somebody, and I feel like such a low to the ground aggressive deck is just sort of, it's obviously a game, it's just not really what I want to sign up. I don't really want to go to a tournament and be like, look how good I am at dumping them all out and seeing if you win or not, That's just how I feel. It's obviously a great deck, and it's a good choice, and it's a lot of fun, and optimizing like what you do in specific spots is not easy. I don't think it's an easy deck to play. It's just not how I like to play. So I'm going to banish Amber Steel. I'm going to play Green Steel because I love, like I said, getting into somebody's hand. If an Amber Steel player is ever like, how many cards in your hand? I'm always like, that doesn't actually matter. You're just going to play your guy. You know what I mean? Like, the answer for you is still mostly just play your guy. But when Green Steel's like, how many cards in your hand? It's like, I have 4. Can you get them all? You know what I mean? Like, so that's like fun. And then I've played a little bit of red-blue, and I like red-blue, and red-blue mirrors are a lot of fun and really intense, so we're going to ink red-blue.
Nice. Good ink play banish there. That was a good round.
Really well-reasoned. Well done.
I'm very well practiced because, if I say, like, let's do, Chipotle for dinner, Zan's like, really? Can you explain why? And, like, so that's what I'm doing lately.
Well, I'm so thankful that you stopped by the restaurant here and were able to chat with us. I'm also really happy that we have this like mountainous supply of tinned fish to fuel our brains. That's what we need.
Yeah,
that's what we need to take down some tournaments up here.
Yeah, easy.
Thanks so much for having me on. It was a blast, and I hope you like your Fishwife slow smoked mackerel with chili flakes. That's my best tin right now. So I hope you guys like that one. And, if you want more of me, you can find me on Twitter at MoxJeremy, MoxJeremy. And, I do a space every Monday. You guys talked about it. But so thanks so much for having me on.
Thank you.
Thanks for stopping by.
We appreciate it. See ya.
See ya.
Well, that was delicious. I have not had that much tinned fish in my whole life.
Yeah, me neither. And to celebrate such a momentous occasion as eating a mountain of tinned fish, we created a dream card together.
Yes, we created a romantic, dreamy dream card together to symbolize our love.
Yes, this is probably our most romantic dream card to date. It is, of course, Royal Guard Monstrous Bovine.
Yeah, he's an AI nightmare.
So this is a flood-born Royal Guard. The Royal Guard of, I got turned into a cow.
Can I go home? Yes, you're excused.
Royal Guard Monstrous Bovine is a 7-cost inkable floodborn character with 6 strength, 6 willpower, quests for 1. He is simply a Floodborn. He shifts for 1 because we want to make it worthwhile if you're going to play the other Royal Guard, which is a terrible card. He has Bodyguard, and he has the ability.
Side effects. Your king, queen, prince, and princess characters gain resist +1. With the flavor text, moo.
Moo. We're looking at an AI-generated image. Now, folks, we do use AI art sometimes for the dream cards because it's just something silly to laugh at, and nobody's profiting from it at all. We think
No
it's
way.
an okay, fair use of AI. Basically, you're... I can't wait to post this, but it's imagine the Royal Guard from Emperor's New Groove with a gigantic like mace in his hand and horribly sharp teeth. And he looks absolutely murderous.
Yeah, his eyes are like fire.
Katie, you wanted to celebrate this card and you wanted to involve the king, queen, prince, and princess characters.
I've been playing the Racer deck so much lately that I think I kind of have that in my head of a card being able to affect cards with characteristics, right? And one of my favorite cards from when we first started playing Lorcana, like forever ago, was the Grand Duke. And the Grand Duke has a similar effect where he gives king, queen, prince, and princess characters +1 strength. And I loved him, and I think that we've lost sight of that in Lorcana.
Yeah, there are so many cool kings and queens and prince and princess characters. It'd be cool to give them a little bit of protection.
And I think that it encourages you to mix villains and heroes too, right? Because when something just affects princesses, typically all those princesses are also heroes.
Yeah, I think it's only Nimari who's like a villain and a princess.
Right. And you have some villainous queens. So I don't know. I think it would be really fun to see it all blended in.
I'll always love cards that enable you to play old cards that never saw play. Like you would never, ever play the original Royal Guard. But because this shifts for 1, like maybe that's a way to reintroduce the Royal Guard into the game.
Woo! That was a good round meal we had there.
Katie, what's next on the menu?
Next on the menu, Brett, we're talking about tribal synergies, baby.
There are so many tribal synergies that they've been developing over the past couple of sets. We're going to explore all of them. We're going to talk about which ones are viable, which ones are waiting for rotation, which ones might be sneaky good, which ones are really, really far behind.
We have so much that's happening every single day in Lorcana in our lives. We are right at the peak of the beginning of this set. We are playing it every day. We're having a grand old time.
And your summer break is about to start, which means you're going to be playing a lot more, I think.
Whoo doggy. So folks, in the meantime, make sure that you're following us on all the social medias, on Facebook, Instagram, on Twitter. Make sure that you're following this podcast and liking it wherever you are listening to us right now.
Until next time, keep on snacking, y'all.